no. Come on, where is it?
Dave, it's your Idaho Central app here. Any chance you're missing a debit card? Let's get that taken care of for you. With ICCU's card control, you can turn any card off with the tap of your finger.
You got it.
And back on again. Out, 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 out. The closest Idaho Central Credit Union branch is in your pocket.
Ooh, the gym. My old stomping grounds. Hank Patterson, fly fishing guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah. Now, the kicker's probably taller and in a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end.
Squats. Yeah. Try it sometime.
RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. First up, he led the Broncos to 3 conference championships and 10 20-win seasons. It's Coach Leon Rice. Next, he's the founder and CEO of RowPaint.com. He played a little basketball in high school on the driveway with his mom. It's Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
Now that I can do. When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Well, last night, Mike Prater, fireworks going off at Circa Resort and Casino. A happy Karen Rains, Kansas City Chiefs in overtime, Super Bowl champions. And yes, somebody said nobody can go back to Boise. I am back to Boise shirt, and I was just warming up the pool for you, Mike Prater. We'll be back in 4 weeks for the Mountain West basketball tournament, but happy Monday, Mike Prater. I made it. I'm not on much sleep, but I'm good to go, and it's going to be a fun show here. So appreciate you as always. How we doing, sir?
I have a new official request. Can we start every Monday morning show with a big fireworks show? Because I need to wake up a little bit. I didn't go to Vegas, but we're all a little cloudy today, and a good fireworks show is going to wake us up every single Monday morning. Let's make that a regular staple. Come on, BJ.
I like it, man. Out there watching the game at Stadium Swim. They had pyrotechnics for the touchdowns and stuff. And I know this is a Boise State show. We'll talk mostly Boise State today. We're going to talk Bush Hamden. We're going to talk about the game on Saturday and kind of big picture for this basketball team moving forward. But you may know better than me, Mike. I didn't see it. I was literally the game. Mike Prater, I didn't have time to cash my tickets. I got some winning bets that when I go back to Vegas, I'm going to have to cash them. We had to jet for the airport. That game going to overtime. I didn't factor that into my my schedule last night. So we literally, I think folks know, but we literally flew to Vegas for about 9 hours. We went from Salt Lake after the basketball game on Saturday. Sunday morning, flew down. It felt like a Mike Prater special. You just fly in, you have a few drinks, you make a few bets, you watch the Super Bowl, and you fly out. And we we have to. I'm going back with, I guess, the best thing there is. I'm taking a winning ticket back to Vegas in 4 weeks for the conference tournament to cash because we didn't even have time. But when was the last overtime Super Bowl? I should know this. Do you know that, or did they say it?
Yeah, there's only been one other in the history of the Super Bowl. It was the 28-3 one. 2017, the Patriots and the Falcons. So 28-3. I think Shanahan may have had something to do with that one as well. So. That's right. The only other Super Bowl overtime. I was actually, and this is kind of weird for me to say, but, I'm at a party. We had a big day. We had a whole bunch of people. We have food. We have football. And they go to overtime, and the first thing I think of is, oh, crap. BJ Raines has got to catch a flight. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to come back.
You really thought of that? No, man, I
did think about the logistics. I did.
It was a little bit of and over under, by the way, we said $100 for the Uber.
That's right.
$31.
What?
$31 with a 4-minute wait. It was unbelievable.
Holy cow, they must have an overflow of Ubers there in Las Vegas. That's from point A to point Z in Vegas, if anybody knows where Circa is compared to the airport. So
and we literally drove right by Allegiant Stadium on the freeway there, and I was thinking this is just going to be absolute madness. We're going to be sitting here for an hour, and our flight was delayed 30 minutes. So we landed about 2 hours and 15 minutes before kickoff. And I was worried it was just going to be a disaster. I'm like, do we find a place closer to try to watch it? But then you're in the even worse crowds. And I scheduled ahead for the Uber, and it was like $51 the day before. And I said, book it, done. Well, then we land and I see it's only 30. And I canceled the other one, paid the $5 and ordered a new one for $31. I couldn't believe it.
Nicely done. That's good information to know. So even Vegas can handle an Uber ride in a situation like that, yes. which is going to be this is my new mantra. And I started it on Friday. Actually, I'm going to be a homer here, but I want the Super Bowl in Vegas every other year. I want New Orleans, Vegas, New Orleans, Vegas, New Orleans, and Vegas. And the only reason I wanted to go to New Orleans is to satisfy some of those people in the East and the South, give them a little bit of a party. Plus, New Orleans is a great destination, obviously, not as good as Las Vegas. This sucker should be in Las Vegas every single year.
Yes, it was perfect. I'm sure it was great for all the parties all week and Radio Row and all that kind of stuff. I mean, Vegas certainly knows how to have a crowd. And as I said, we'll get to Boise State in a second. But what was with the I don't know if there was a lot of talk about this, but I didn't understand. And again, I can hear the audio outside. There's a lot going on. Had a few beverages, but I mean, why did the 49ers take the ball in overtime? I would have thought that if you're, if both teams, which I will admit, I wasn't 100% sure on the overtime rules. I had to ask some people by me and look it up, and I heard them say both teams get a possession. Sounds like maybe some of the 49ers didn't even know the overtime rules, but if you're guaranteed to get the ball, why would you not take defense first to know what you need?
Yeah, I understand that argument, and that's certainly one of the arguments of today. But Shanahan, the way he explained it, as far as I can tell, is the third possession is the one that's the most important for him because of the overtime rules. Everybody's going to you have to score a touchdown, or both teams have to get the ball. It's a little bit different in the postseason than it is in the regular season, where if you score a touchdown right off the bat, the overtime's over. In the playoffs, everybody gets one possession, and he thought, okay, we're going to go down and score. And then the Chiefs are going to come down and score. And more than likely, the analytics tell us that the game will be decided on the third overtime possession. That's when we're back into play. That's when we know exactly what we need to do. So he just kind of outthought himself. There's some people defending him. Other people thinks it's a little bit crazy. I can see both sides, and certainly it's exactly what we in the media like to do on Monday after a Super Bowl.
No doubt. How are the commercials? Any good ones?
I didn't see a lot of them. I don't remember laughing at a lot of them. There wasn't really too many that really jumped out and really just kind of wowed me. So I thought it was.
How was Usher?
I was on the back deck smoking a cigar with the fellas when Usher came on. So I really don't have a lot to enjoy about Usher. I don't hate him. I'm not a hater. It's just he's not my style. Yep. If you put some rap and some hip hop out there and some ladies, I'll watch that because of the sexy factor. But I'm not going to watch Usher because of the sexy factor, and his music doesn't do it for me, BJ.
I'm going to have to watch it again. I'm not going to lie, Mike Prater. I was trying to find a casino on Fremont Street that had a live money line at halftime. So I was walking down Fremont.
Did you do it on your phone?
No, I had the cash. But Cirque offered a second half line, but I couldn't get a live at halftime. So I ended up at the Binion's Casino, where they used to have the World Series of Poker, I think. And now I've got a nice ticket to go cash at Binion's Casino. They got plus 180 at halftime on the live money line. So
wait, Binion's, was Sammy Davis Jr. there? Are you Binion's? Come on.
It was halftime of the Super Bowl.
Bugsy Siegel was there hanging out with with the mobsters back in the day.
Halftime of the Super Bowl at Binions was a sad place. I'll just tell you that. It was.
I can picture now.
But we got the ticket, and like I said, I'm going back. I'm already going down with cash. I got a winning ticket when you arrive in Vegas. There's nothing better than that. So good time. Chiefs won. I know you guys will talk about it a lot on Idaho Sports Talk today, 3 o'clock with Johnny and Bob and JP and the whole crew. You guys will be all over the Super Bowl. But we got to talk some Boise State. Let's keep it on football, though, first, Mike Prater. We'll get to basketball here in a little bit. But Bush Hamden, news came out yesterday. I was driving down to Logan, saw the Pete Thamel tweet. Did a little bit of work on it. It's not done. I guess Boise State is theoretically what I was told, trying all they can to try to keep him. But again, if the previous offensive coordinator at Kentucky made $1.7 million and Boise State, just offered him, I think, $460,000 for this contract. I mean, if this comes down to money, Bush Hamden is tripling his pay and going back to the SEC to Kentucky. I saw you had a couple Facebook posts, tweets on this yesterday. Not official yet, but looks like it's probably going to happen at some point here. Just your thoughts on Bush Hamden going to Kentucky.
BJ, this would really upset me. This would fire me up, and I would have to get the old Prater-esque and just get a little emotional and get a little fired up. I love Bush Hamden. We all love Bush Hamden, and I go back to Bush Hamden from 25 years. And when I saw Bush Hamden and he first showed up back in Boise as the offensive coordinator, a summer and a half ago, at his introductory press conference, we actually hugged. And I don't do that with a lot of people. It just kind of happened naturally because of our relationship and because of where we stand and because of what we've done to each other over the last few years. So we're pretty tight. And I love Bush an awful lot as a human being, as a football coach, and I'm a big believer in Bush Hamden. This one actually kind of makes me angry, BJ. The fact that it's even out there in public kind of fires me up a little bit. And I can't wait to get after this on Idaho Sports Talk later this afternoon. But emotionally and physically and spiritually and everything there is, it really, really, really bugs me. I get the money factor. And if I was in that same situation, I'd probably have to have the same conversation. And I certainly get the prestige factor and the SEC factor. But man, this is different. This is different. You spent the entire offseason preaching roster retention. That was the number one job for you in the offseason as you worked with Spencer Danielson to try to save this sinking ship. You just fired your football coach, and here comes Spencer Danielson and Bush Hamden to the rescue, pulling off miracles, and then creating this beautiful roster after the season's over with. And then Bush Hamden wants to bail for Kentucky? Are you kidding me? It would really, really bother me, BJ. I think it would set this team back a little bit emotionally. I think they could find another offensive coordinator. Of all his strengths and weaknesses, just being an X's and O's offensive coordinator might not be at the top of the list. I think he does a lot of other things really well. So I think he could probably be replaceable, but it just really, really bothers me that he's put together this team. He's got a quarterback. He's got a wide receiver. He's recruited all these special people to this Boise State football team. And here we are one day after the Super Bowl debating whether he's going to go to Kentucky. It really bothers me, BJ.
Alexander Lambert says she's 100,000% with you, Prater, for once. So she agrees with you on this, and a lot of people agree with you in the chat, Mike. And yeah, I mean, there's multiple layers to this, I guess. First of all, he did have the tweet when Ashton Genty stayed, saying something to the effect of loyalty and Bronco for life and all this. He also took less money to come back from Missouri. He was already in the SEC. Took less money to come back. Now this is still going to be a huge pay jump over that. But if it wasn't about the money literally a year ago, now all of a sudden it looks like it might be about the money again. And he talks so much about wanting to live and I was reading his quotes when he signed the new deal like 6 weeks ago, whatever, to stay. He was talking about how much his family loved living in Boise and how they'd moved a lot and didn't want to move anymore and was happy to be back. It's just I don't know, Mike, you're right. This one is interesting. Do you think, Mike Prater, that he was a little upset he didn't get the head coaching job or didn't get the interim, or was that part of this, you think?
Certainly part of the thought process for me. And you have to think about that a little bit. And I remember specifically, I asked him right after, Spencer was in the middle of all this firestorm. I can't remember if it was right before Spencer was hired or it was obvious that he was going to be hired, or maybe it was right after he got hired. I asked Bush Hamden in one of those press conferences, do you have head coaching aspirations? Do you want to be a head coach? Are you ready to be a head coach? And he said, I'm more than ready to be a head football coach. I want to be a head football coach. And I think he answered it okay. I don't remember at the time thinking, Okay, that's kind of a squirrely answer. He said the right things, but his body action said something different. I think he understands the pecking order and the seniority, and Bush Hamdan is always going to be a great teammate. He's going to be a fantastic teammate. That dates back all the way to settling for second behind Kellen Moore, and maybe even before then, behind his brother. He's always been a good teammate. And in this particular case, I thought he was always a great teammate and saying, okay, Spencer's been here longer. He's got the tenure on me for 7 years plus 1 year, whatever it is. I know Spencer didn't play here, but Bush played here, so maybe that got into his craw a little bit. Maybe because it was so obvious. Maybe it's because Jeremiah Dickey didn't come to him and say, you want to be part of the head coaching process? Because I'm not sure that happened. I think they all just assumed that it was going to be Spencer Danielson, and they went straight there, and they went out and started building this wall and building this future. So there might be a little bit of that. I think that's a part of it, but I still don't think unless it really bothers him behind the scenes, and I have a hard time believing that, I don't think that's the ultimate case here. I think it's about the money, and that's what the part that really bothers me.
And, I think he expected to have this I think what I think he expected to happen, and Boise State probably too, to be honest, Mike Prater, is this offense goes out and has a great year in the fall, and then he parlays that into an offer like this, where he would have got $1.7 million at the end of the season. But I think that's what he kind of probably expected. I'll take this 2-year deal, but we had a great offense next year, and then I'll see what's out there. I think the offer just came a year before he thought. I think this is the offer he was expecting to get, $1.7 million, whatever, at the end of the year. But when it came now, it's like, okay, and again, he just talked to us like 3 days before too. And I don't know if you picked up anything during his press conference on signing day, Mike, looking back now. But I didn't notice anything, and I would imagine they would at least have talked to him in 3 days, maybe not by that point. This stuff does happen very fast in this profession. And again, we should point out, this is not, we should just clarify, this is not 100% done. Kentucky has not announced this. Boise State, as I said, I was told that they were trying to do what they can, but again, I don't know what else they can do to sweeten the pot here to make to do this. But and I'm on both sides of it, Mike. It stinks. It's just the way college football is now. I hate to see it. I hate it, but it'd be hard for me to turn down $1.7 million. But again, I don't know the finances. I don't know where I don't know. We're not Bush Hamdan. We're not in his head. We don't know his family situation. We don't know their thought process. I get it. It stinks, and I'm mostly with you on that. But I do look at the money side too, and it's like, man, if I was making A and I could triple it and make generational money, that's certainly hard to turn down. And based on some folks I've talked to, former coaches, people that know Bush is thinking, that kind of thing, probably saying that this was a very tough decision, even given how easy it might you think it is for some with the money. Like it's about more than that and all the stuff you're talking about. And but yeah, this business just does it stinks, man. They had something going. Like as I said, he just talked to us a couple days ago. He came all the way back, and now Mike, like he leaves, and now I get it. He was not calling the plays. Eli Drinkwitz was. He did at the end of the year, the last couple of games, and he was the quarterback's coach for the most part there. Eli Drinkwitz was kind of the offensive coordinator. I don't know who had the title, but so in that aspect, he is getting an elevated role, play calling role, full offensive coordinator in the SEC. But he basically left an SEC. And then, 13, 14 months later, he's now in a worse SEC job at Kentucky than Missouri. Just the way that I don't know what his end game was. And I know you talked about in your tweet or post or something like every year or two, folks that are jumping, it's hard to kind of build your career and work your way up. And so I don't know what his end game was. And maybe, Mike, you said him wanting to be a head coach. Maybe, and I don't think anybody would really disagree with this, but an offensive coordinator in the SEC probably gives you a better leg up to be a head coach than an offensive coordinator at Boise State. And maybe that's his goal, parlay this in a year or two to being a head coach somewhere. I don't know, but the path he took, SEC, take less money back to Boise State, and then, you get more money, but you take a worse SEC job. I wonder what the end game was or is.
Yeah, I suppose he's trying to get to, chasing money and being a head coach, I guess would be out there. But by his actions, as you pointed out, coming to Missouri, from Missouri to Boise, money wasn't important for him then. SEC status wasn't important for him then. You know what? The money's going to be there. Bush Hamdan's 38 years old. He's going to be coaching in this profession for another 20 years, maybe another 30 years. When he retires, the dude's going to have so much freaking money that it's impossible to spend. And you know what? You're at your alma mater, and you're living in a beautiful city, and you have a resume that looks like a checkerboard square. One here, one there, one here. He's never spent more than 3 years at one spot, and that was just at Missouri most recently. This dude changes jobs almost every single season. And at some point, you have to look at the wife and say, are you kidding me? We can't do this. Yes, if Bush Hamdan stays at Boise State, is he passing up $1 million? Sounds like he might be. And yes, most people would say that's ridiculous. But if Bush Hamdan does the job that he's supposed to do with the kids that he recruited right now, here in 11 months, he's going to get plenty of job offers, maybe even head coaching offers. So we'll see how it shakes out. I think it's irrational. I think it's chasing and being a lack of patience. Loyalty to your alma mater, especially when you had those quotes right after we signed the contract about his loyalty to the city of Boise. Mostly it's loyalty to that roster. That was my tweet the other day. This roster deserves to have Bush Hamdan. Bush Hamdan's a good coach, and he's put together this beautiful roster in part because of the relationships. He stood up at the podium and talked about recruiting this kid, this Marshall kid, since he was in the 9th grade, and Malachi Nelson and all this kind of stuff. So it just doesn't make any sense. Maybe he's more butthurt behind the scenes than we thought. But I think Bush Hamdan is being irrational. The money's going to come. The jobs are going to come. You've got a job to do in Boise, Idaho right here and right now. And I think he needs to stay for another 9 months.
Nate Staley says if Bush had stayed and got BSU into the top 10 offenses, he'd have better offers after the season. So he could do better than Kentucky maybe if he'd had a big year this year, Mike.
I can almost do better than Kentucky. What's the prestige about Kentucky other than the paycheck? Come on, man.
It's an afterthought. Basketball is what they worry about in Kentucky, right?
Yes, you're second fiddle. So come on, man. It's just the whole thing bugs me. If he was getting lured by Georgia or Alabama or something else, I would get it. If the money came with something else, I would get it. But money doesn't come with anything else here other than just a lack of loyalty, and it really bugs me, BJ.
And like you said, and I agree with Nate, agree with you. Like, yeah, I mean, if you stay for one more year, you have this big year that everyone thinks you'll have, and you would have your pick of things. Kentucky almost seems like desperation, like you're trying to leave or something if you're taking Kentucky. But again, we don't know the financial situation. I agree with you that his big payday would have come probably in 8 months or 9 months if he had waited. We'll find out for sure. I know it's, sports talk radio, whatever. As soon as somebody leaves, you say, who are they going to hire? But I don't know if you've thought about it at all. I think Matt Miller is the obvious guy that'll get some consideration. I personally love Matt Miller, like him, nice guy, but I think you can go shoot a little higher, a little more experienced, qualified candidate. I know he was an OC before, and I think if they go that route, he'll probably be fine. And again, this is nothing against Matt Miller. I like him a lot. But when you can offer almost $500,000 and you can offer an offense that is going to be as good as this offense is going to be, I think they've got some intriguing candidates. And I'll just throw out one name, Mike, and everybody knows he's associated to this show, and I'll just throw it out there. I think the perfect person actually for this offense in this situation right now in terms of where he's at and whatever is Mike Sanford. I think Mike Sanford has been an OC at Colorado at big time, Notre Dame has been at big time places. And I think the right family, the right situation, moving back to Boise. Again, not saying I've talked to him, haven't talked to him. I'm not going to get into those conversations. But just know that he's a part of this show and know that I know him very well, as you do and others do. I think that'd be hard for him to turn down if he got an opportunity and an offer. And I don't know if they never coached together, so Spencer Danielson doesn't really know him. I can 100% say for a fact that when he joined BNN last year, it was not so he could try to get a job back at Boise State. Some people are saying, he was just trying to work his way back into Boise State. It was not that 100%. He loves his family, loves coaching his daughter's softball team, and weird stuff happens in weird ways. And I think he's perfectly fine not coaching. But if the opportunity arose and they wanted to go in that direction, I personally have a hard time thinking he would turn that down, and I think he could do a lot worse than Mike Sanford. But I'll be curious where they go for this hire. I would guess it's not going to be him. I'm just saying I think he'd be a good candidate, but I would guess it's not going to be Mike Sanford. What do you think about this position now? It's an intriguing spot, like I said, and I think you'll get some really intriguing candidates. A lot of people, why would you not be interested in this job?
Oh, absolutely. It's just a matter of how many people are out there unemployed sitting on their couch that would be interested in this job and be capable of this job. I love the Sanford. I was thinking about this morning. If Bush leaves, where are they going to go? And obviously Matt Miller comes to mind. I have some things to say about him. Sanford, I never even thought of that. So I like that. I certainly would make that phone call and have those conversations if it comes to that. Matt Miller, I mean, who doesn't love Matt Miller? I mean, as an athlete here at Boise State, he was phenomenal. As a human being, he seems like he's a really phenomenal guy. As your offensive coordinator and play caller for this roster in 2024, no. Now, I'll even go back in terms of what we know for a fact. in terms of Matt Miller. Matt Miller is the second lowest paid coach on this football team behind only Jabril Frazier, who's 13 years old in coaching terms. I mean, he's young. He's really, really young and making pennies as they're trying to give this young kid a chance at life and a chance at a football career. Matt Miller has been a long-line football guy. He's been an offensive coordinator in the Big Sky. He's done other positions, and he's barely making more than Jabril Frazier. Everybody's getting these bumps in pay, and Matt Miller's at $215,000. I mean, it's by $20,000 and growing in terms of how much he's paid. So that tells me behind the scenes, somebody made a decision. Matt Miller, you're worth this kind of money. The second worst on the staff behind the young kid that we just hired. That to me says a lot. And if you're going to take Matt Miller and then all of a sudden promote him to the very, very top, that's a big leapfrog that I'm not very comfortable with right now.
We're getting some great suggestions in the chat here. Kurt wants Al Borges.
Put him on the list. I love Al Borges.
You got Tim Plow on the list. I know he's probably not coming back. Someone's asking about Kirby Moore. I don't think he's taking a pay cut to come back. We'll see. I don't know if this is an inside the family, outside the family. I mean, for the most part, Mike, like Spencer Danielson only made 2 new hires, and one was bringing Stacey Collins back, and one was obviously the gentleman from Ball State, Tyler Stockton. But he mostly just ran it back with guys that were already on staff. So this is an opportunity for him to kind of spread his wings a little bit and hire his own offensive coordinator. And we don't know his coaching connections or who he is around. But I mean, the 2 hires he made both seem to be strong hires, taking a sitting defensive coordinator at a MAC school to be your secondary coach, and then to get Stacey Collins to leave Penn State to come back. So I have faith that Spencer Danielson will find the right candidate here. And as I said, you got a lot of money to offer and a lot of toys on that offense to offer. I think that you can get some intriguing candidates. It's just, someone said it stinks we're talking about this, and I agree. I mean, it's February 12th. Like, it's just, you got spring ball starting in like 4 weeks. You don't know how that does affect coaches that are not currently coaching versus are coaching. And if they are not coaching, why is that? I don't know, but it's we'll find out in the next couple of days here what happens, but certainly not something we expected to be talking about.
The one thing that we haven't mentioned here, just to kind of put this to bed, and then we can dive into basketball and a very important weekend behind and a very important game coming up. But we haven't mentioned 2 words here, guys, and we haven't mentioned the word Ashton Jeanty, who just made the ultimate 11-month sacrifice to stay at Boise State. And to me, put that guy in the Loyalty Hall of Fame. Ashton Jeanty, if this season, I'm going to say something really stupid here. If this season pans out the way everybody wants it to be, Ashton Jeanty love in Boise, Idaho is going to reach Kellen Moore-esque proportions. I mean, already right now, Ashton Jeanty can do no wrong. They're naming snowplows after him. They're naming babies after him. There's little white babies being named Ashton Jeanty all across the Treasure Valley right now because everybody loves Ashton Jeanty. We know that there's a whole bunch of 20-year-olds running around with the name of Kellen. Ashton Jeanty can be the next Kellen Moore. I'm not going to say he's going to pass him in popularity, but he's going to be on that list. And that list is really short, as in Kellen Moore, period. Nobody else. And Ashton Jeanty has a chance to be that loyal guy to this city, to that football program, to that roster, to those teammates and those coaches. And he's the young kid. He's the young kid who can barely even have a conversation because he's kind of quiet and shy and just grinds behind the scenes. And here comes the adult who's supposed to be in charge, and he can't wait 9 or 10 months for the opportunity of a lifetime. Come on, dude, go have breakfast with Ashton Jeanty, put this thing to bed, and get your ass back to work at Boise State.
And one final thing on this, Mike, some folks in the chat are asking, any concern that whether it be Malachi Nelson or Jeanty or any of these players bolt now when the portal opens again after spring practice?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it won't open until after spring ball. I think it's April 1st or something. I don't even know if it's 1st or 15th or somewhere in the first 10, 15 days of April. That transfer portal does open up again. And yes, are you kidding me? I mean, let's see how spring ball plays out. If Malachi Nelson comes in and just clicks and everybody's happy and singing Kumbaya with the new offensive coordinator, I suppose it could be okay, but it certainly opens up the possibility. If you would have asked me last week, is there any chance that Chris Marshall or Malachi Nelson or any of these other kids could end up in the portal after spring ball? No. Why would they? And now we have to talk about this for the next 2 months, and it's ridiculous. Shame on you, Bush. I'm really disappointed in this, and it may or may not affect our relationship, and that's okay, but I'm really disappointed in Bush Hamden this even came to this point.
I know a lot of fans feel the same way with you, Mike. You guys will be all over the Bush-Hamden situation. 3 o'clock today, Idaho Sports Talk with Prater, Johnny, Bob, JP, and the crew. Let's take a quick 90-second timeout, Mike, and then dive into this basketball team and where they're at right now. 2 straight losses on the road. They get a bye this week, and then they start a little easier stretch in the schedule. Well, the state of Boise State basketball, we'll discuss that next here in 90 seconds. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just one day. Contact rowpaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. CUI more than 500,000 members love ICCU and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line, and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com. Prater, 4 weeks from tomorrow night, we will be flying down to Las Vegas for the Mountain West Conference Tournament. Circa Resort and Casino is going to be our headquarters. We'll be staying there, doing shows there all week. And I got a 15% off link if anybody wants to stay at Circa or the D. 15% off. You can email me. Also, we're now over 80 RSVPs for our pool party. We're taking over Stadium Swim outside Circa Resort and Casino. It's an unbelievable spot. As I said, I was there watching the Super Bowl last night, and it is unbelievable for sports viewing. And they're going to have all the conference tournament games on all day. We'll be out there from 10 to 5 Pacific time. Prater and Johnny are doing their show. We'll be doing our show out there. You know how Johnny's mind is going, Mike Prater. He's been texting me numerous times about ideas for segments and things, and he wants a 7-hour live stream on BNN of the pool, and he wants all kinds of stuff. So we got some ideas, but going to be a fun day. Looking forward to it. RSVP, Reigns at BroncoNationNews.com will give you free entry. It's like a $40 cover charge on Friday of conference tournament weekend. Not if you email me. It's free. Reigns at BroncoNationNews.com. Mike, I believe you told me on this one that you will you might still charge for autographs, but pictures are going to be free on this day, right? You'll at least go for the pictures if somebody comes up to you.
You know, it should be the other way around. With my face, we should charge for the picture, and then I'll give the autograph away for free. That's a lot less painful. The autograph is the easy part. The picture is the painful part. But yeah, we'll figure something out. I do promise you this, and this is good. I will not be taking off my shirt and jumping into the pool. Johnny might push me into the pool, and I'll have to get my fat ass with all the clothes on getting out of the pool, but I will not be taking off my shirt and jumping into the pool.
I just got about 6 cancellations of their RSVP now that they heard that, but it's going to be a lot of fun. 4 weeks from tomorrow, we're heading down. And again, email me, Reigns at BroncoNationNews.com if you want to get in. And Mike, it's going to be quite the tournament. And I led in with that graphic and that promo to this discussion because there are now 7 teams within 1 game of first place. Utah State is alone by 1 game, and then you have like literally 6 teams tied with 4 losses in the loss column. And you had UNLV going to the pit and winning, and now New Mexico has another loss. I mean, it is just chaos every night in this conference, and you're going to have 2 or 3 good teams, including at least 1 team, Mike Prater, that might make the NCAA tournament that's playing in the play-in round day on Wednesday because only the first 5 teams get byes. There's 7 or 8 teams in this league if you count UNLV, and heck, Wyoming's been beating some people, and one of these top 6 are for sure going to have to play on Wednesday. So would have been a huge game for Boise State to win the other night. We've laid out the scenarios. The goal would have just been to win one of those 2. They certainly have left themselves a little margin for error right now, but they get the bye. and they get to rest up a little bit, and then the schedule lightens up, and you just hope if you're Boise State that now you can take advantage of this weaker schedule and let all the other teams beat each other up, and you look up at the end and you're still back near first place.
Yeah, I mean, it was, the only thing that really kind of bugged me about that last week, I kind of expected them to lose both, and I don't know why. I maybe it's just because of the anti-basketball thing in me. The thing that this is, I'm not too worried about the losses. The thing that concerned me last week was just the lack of competitiveness. These games got away from them, but it was about a 20-point average if you put the two deficits together, somewhere in that neighborhood. And that to me was the only disappointing part. Again, the lack of consistency with this program. I absolutely love the fact that somebody on this basketball team seems like it steps up every single game and does something. And lately that seems like it's been, Tyson Degenhart more than anybody else. I don't like the fact that it's so inconsistent and so up and down, and guys seem to disappear. I mean, they're playing okay, but there's 2 or 3 starters, dependable players on this team that are kind of disappearing, whether it's for 5 minutes here or whole games there. And I need to see some more consistency with this team. I don't understand the consistency thing. That's what's been driving me crazy about this season and this basketball team. I know they've only had two-game losing streaks. The first one, Clemson and Virginia Tech. That's to be expected when they were back in the early season struggling. This past week, I kind of expected it, but the lack of competitiveness and the consistency factor really bothers me with this team right now.
Now, Utah State goes to Wyoming on Wednesday, and then they go to Colorado State on Saturday, and they play San Diego State next Tuesday. Those are their next 3 games. Colorado State also has to go to San Diego State tomorrow night, and then plays Utah State, as I said, on Saturday. New Mexico goes to Nevada and to San Diego State this week. This week alone, Mike Prater, all the other teams are kind of beating each other up, and Boise State doesn't even play. And then Boise State's next 2 games are home games against San Jose and Fresno. I don't say this for anything other than, regardless of if you think they're playing good, regardless of what you think is going to happen later in the season, we're going to look up in literally 10 days, Mike Prater, like next Wednesday, and Boise State's going to be in first place.
And that's okay. I'm not panicking. I'm not panicking at all. And as a matter of fact, to me, I don't even really care about the first place. That's nice. Just I want you to kind of stay in the top 4. And I did have one question for you, and I was thinking about this morning as I was getting ready for this show in terms of the bracket. Yes. Is there an advantage to being top 4 versus top 6 versus top 8 when it comes to the bracket? Or, I mean, the top 8 have to go into the quarterfinals? I mean, how does the bracket work?
Top 5 get a bye. So top 5 get a bye and don't play on Wednesday. So
that's the ultimate goal here. The ultimate goal here for Boise State is to stay top 5.
Yes, you got to be top 5. If you're there's 3 games on Saturday. Number 6 plays 11, 7 plays 10, and 8 plays 9, and then it funnels into the quarters on Thursday, where 1 will play 8 or 9, 2 would play 7, 10, and 3, and then the only matchup that is set is 4 plays 5 automatically. You both get a bye, but they play each other 4-5 in the quarterfinals.
And that's really all I need then. That's really all I need. This team, this conference is so tight, so close, so up and down, and anybody can beat anybody for the most part on any given night, which is kind of just cliche, but it's true in this particular case. So stay top 5, get that other advantage. If Boise State, as long as Boise State stays in the top 5, I don't care. Get to Vegas, stay in the top 5, and then let's just go to war because it's going to be a battle. If Boise State's in first place or Boise State's in 5th place, I'm not going to feel any more comfortable or any less comfortable. This basketball program has shown me that they have to prove it, and they have to go to Vegas, regardless of what their situation is, and win a couple of basketball games and get themselves into the NCAA tournament. So 1 to 5 doesn't bother me. Just stay in the top 5.
I will say this, and again, it's a lot has to happen for this to happen, but there is a big advantage this year to whoever gets 1, because I think the cutoff is after 7, in terms of like teams that are really capable of winning this tournament. If I put UNLV in there, I mean, they're winning now, they're going to be at home. I think UNLV is a scary team to play in this tournament. Plus you have your top 6. And if you're 1, you're playing 8 or 9. So you're getting Fresno or Air Force or whatever in the first game. If you're 2, you may be playing UNLV on their home floor. And if you're 3, you're playing either Nevada or one of these teams that are also in that 6. So I do think that 2 versus 7 is not much different, but I think there is an advantage if you can do it to get to 1 for a lot of reasons. I also think, Mike Prater, if you're 1, like if you win the regular season, I know it's not automatic, but if you win the league, you're going into the NCAA tournament. They're not taking the regular season champion in this league and saying, sorry, you don't get in. So I do think trying to win the league and playing for something here is a big deal. Now, that's 2 games in a row, though, Mike, where they gave up over 50% shooting. And when you're on the road, I get it. Big crowds. The home team usually shoots a little better. They made 9 threes in that game, and Utah State doesn't necessarily make threes very often. They had guys 25 points, easily a career high for one of their guys. I mean, they just had some big nights. But Boise State also only shot 36%, really struggled from three-point range. I asked Leon Rice after the game about that. What's the bigger issue for you, them shooting 52% or you guys only shooting 36?
Both. It was both, because we got to, we got to get our offense clicking. We had it clicking last, a week ago, and, it can change quick. But you also played 2 really good teams on their court, and they were really physical games, both games. And, like I said, to be fair to our guys, they looked a little worn out, but they battle, but like I said, the best thing that we have in that locker room, so many good guys that have such high character that they'll be ready. This break will help us. Like I said, we'll be able to reset. We'll be back to playing great basketball.
And I know for the Leon Rice detractors, guys that look for stuff to criticize, it comes off as an excuse. And I get it, Mike Prater, but they did play 11 straight games without the bye, either 2 or 3 days of no more than 3 days of rest. 11 straight games, the longest stretch of any team in the conference. The 3 of the last 4 were on the road at altitude, at New Mexico, at Colorado State, at Utah State. So not making an excuse for that, but I guess I spin that forward here that they're taking 3 days off. They're not practicing again until Wednesday. 3 days, get away, nothing for 3 days. And they haven't had that since Christmas. I mean, they are resetting, taking a breather. And then, as I said, they get back to work and the schedule gets a lot easier here. So I know it sounds like an excuse. Maybe it is, but they just didn't have much left in the tank this week. They needed the break, and hopefully they can regroup and start racking off some wins here down the stretch.
Yeah, there's no doubt they look tired, and I get it all. But they're a 500 team over these last 8 games, and half those games have been at home. They've lost 3 of the last 5 and 4 of their last 8. And I know what you're saying about the advantage of being first place, but at this point, I don't think that that's going to be a realistic thing, especially now that Utah State would own the tiebreaker. You essentially have to be a whole game or a half a game better than Utah State.
Back of them. Yep.
Yeah, so that's going to be really, really difficult. They play 7 games at home. They'd have to go 6-1 over these last 7 games. They're not all at home, but they finish off the regular season with 7 games, and the schedule does get much easier. There's no doubt about that. But they've also proven that they can't always win games at home. They've lost a couple of games at home. So 7 games left. In order to get to that first place factor, you're going to have to win 6 of those and hope for Utah State's losses. That's a lot of mental energy that I don't really think this basketball team should worry about right now. So, you never want to ditch the goal of winning a conference championship and getting that regular season first round bid or first round seed. So I get it, but realistically for me, your goal might be first place. My goal is just top 5. And that's where I want this basketball team to be, top 5 going into Vegas.
And certainly looks like that's doable here, as we talked about with the schedule. One more quick bite from Leon, big picture here.
You can't overreact because of how many losses everybody's going to get. And this is a top 20 team right now. Yep. And, they played like it tonight. I know that. And, it's just a matter of regrouping. And, you've seen it all over the league where team will lose a couple and then they bounce back. Team will lose a couple, they bounce back. And you just got to get back to, you got a month left after this bye to playing your best basketball. And if you do that, let the fur fly, and we're a good enough team to be right there in the hunt. So.
And I guess final thing, Coach, we saw, UNLV go into the pit and win tonight. I think that's 7 teams within 1 game of first place now. Again, Utah State's there at 1. I think there's 6 of you now with 4 losses in conference. There's going to be some crazy teams good teams having to play on Wednesday in this conference tournament.
No doubt.
But I guess, as I kind of said, you guys have already gone mostly through that gauntlet, and hopefully you can take advantage of this down the stretch.
Well, here. Like you said, it's just for coaches and for a team, because you've seen all these teams now, and if they all play good and you don't, they all beat you. And so we'll get back to our focus now. Will be able to be on us for a little bit, and we'll get back to playing really good. And when we play really good, we can play with anyone.
All right, Mike Prater, we'll as we kind of wrap this up here, I guess my big picture thought is, we as you said, we kind of saw this stretch coming. And if you go back to after they lost that Utah State game, they had 3 of the next 4 on the road at the Pit. They had the Air Force game, and then last week, I think we were all saying, hey, if they can just find a way to go 2-2 in this 4-game stretch, you would take that at this point. Well, they did, and it came maybe not the way we thought. They won at the Pit, and then lost both this week. But they played 7 quad 1 games out of 10. That they just finished this stretch of 7 out of 10 quad 1 games. They went 4-3 in that stretch. They really did. I know they lost, as you said, 500, but I think they kind of did enough to stay above water and hold serve a little bit. And I know that the overall 8 losses isn't great, but you mentioned going 6-1. Like, I really think that's doable. Like, you got San Jose and Fresno at home. At Wyoming is going to be a little tricky, but you should, if you want to get to the NCAA tournament and do what you want to do, you should be able to win at Wyoming. And then you're at Air Force. I mean, the next 4 games should be wins, and you have the bye in there too. So I mean, I don't see this team losing a game for like 3 weeks, Mike. And as I said, all these other teams are going to beat each other up, and their schedules are way harder. And then you come back after that stretch, and you do have to play Nevada and New Mexico, but they're both at home, and you already beat both those teams. So I don't think it's crazy to think you can win that. And then obviously you have to go to San Diego State to finish the season. But I guess overall that, as you said, they're losing some, they're starting to take a little water on the boat. They're losing some games, but I think that you saw that if they could just kind of get through that stretch and not totally collapse, which I don't think they did, the schedule's manageable here, and I still think they can win a lot of these games down the stretch.
Yeah, definitely win a lot of them. I don't expect them to win them all. I really don't. I don't see this basketball team going 6-0. And again, that's okay. That's not going to be my expectations. Win the ones you're supposed to win. I mean, the first and foremost part is just to take a breather this weekend. And hopefully they got yesterday off, and today maybe a light day, and then kind of build back up for Saturday and just get your legs back together. Go kiss your mom, go kiss your girlfriend, and go read a book and get back in class and do your things and just kind of get your mind away from basketball. It's been a long stretch and a long grind. I know the schedule. It's been intense. It's been tough. The quad 1 opponents, all that kind of stuff is out there. So just, you almost have to, well, they do 1 game at a time, kind of stupid cliche, but this week rest, get that Fresno State thing taken care of. You can come back next Tuesday and deal with San Jose State, and then just take a collective deep breath. Boise State's not going to win every one of these games, but again, I don't think the goal here is to get to first place. You want to be refreshed, you want to be smart, you want your body to feel good, and you want to be in the top 4 or 5, and that's really the only mission here is. So win 4 or 5 of these last games, and Boise State should be okay. They need to be ready and at the top of their game going into Vegas.
I assume today on Idaho Sports Talk, Mike, it'll be a lot of what we talked about, Super Bowl and Bush Hamden and basketball. What do we got coming up 3 to 6 today?
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about Bush. We're going to obviously rehash the Super Bowl. Johnny Ballgame is going to be wearing a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers gear because he lost a bet to me. So he'll be doing the full show decked out in Pittsburgh Steelers gear. And also, I will mention this. Some of you may have seen the tragic incident of what happened with Tanner Vallejo and his brother here in the Treasure Valley over the weekend. Tanner Vallejo is going to join us on the show as he kind of marches through this crusade to try to figure out what happened to his little brother, who apparently still lives here in the Treasure Valley and had that ugly, gruesome incident. The agent, Ron Slavin, the NFL agent, reached out yesterday during the Super Bowl and wanted a little Bronco Nation love. So we're going to give Tanner Vallejo a little Bronco Nation love today at 4:15. But it's all about Bush Hamden, and it's all about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I will read his tweet real quick. He said, looking for help. My little brother was severely assaulted in Kuna, Idaho at a bonfire 2 nights ago. He is hospitalized, staples in his head, multiple broken facial bones. He is a brain cancer survivor and is lucky to be alive. And my understanding is they're trying to find out who did it. He got severely assaulted is the phrase he used, and they don't know who it was, and they're trying to find that out. So any information on that from the incident that happened in Kuna, Tanner Vallejo would love to know, and local authorities probably would like to know. And so that's good. That's good. 4:15, be listening to Tanner, and hopefully, prayers that everything goes okay with his brother and that they can find out who did this. So appreciate you as always, Mike, for joining us, and we'll be listening 3 to 6 today. Thanks to JP as well for helping us out 4 weeks from tomorrow. Looking forward to getting down to Vegas for the conference tournament, but a lot of games, a lot of discussions to happen before then to see how this thing shakes out. And we'll be listening 3 o'clock today to you guys on Idaho Sports Talk. So thanks everybody for checking us out. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Jay Tuss and I will be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll hopefully get some more clarity or information on Bush Hamden today or near future. We'll get that out there and let you know on that. And have a great rest of your day. Again, Super Bowl champs, the Chiefs. We'll talk to you later. Bronco Nation News, Bronco Nation News.